So Limerick are back in the All-Ireland final after beating Galway by 27 points to 24. One of those games it felt like it never fully took off, and you wondered how were Galway still in this game, because Limerick seemed on top in so many aspects of it, and yet somehow Galway just kept digging in, getting their scores mostly from frees. And of course the injury to Joe Canning, which happened around the hour mark in the game, was delayed for a couple of minutes, obviously hurt their chances, no doubt about that. But Evan Nyland came on for him, and it's a player we've talked about a few times throughout the year on the show, and he came on and hit his free well, knocked over another point from distance to sort of level it up at 23 points apiece coming into 75th minute, and there was 79 minutes overall. But it just felt like Galway never fully got going. Like, they played the sweeper to try and ensure that there weren't goals, and there was no goal. And again, I think much like the Munster final, Limerick will be a little bit disappointed to not get those, and didn't get one against Clare either. They obviously did against Tipperary, but if you look at some of the players that normally cause an awful lot of hassle for Limerick, Graham Mulcahy had a very quiet day, and Sean Loftus, Aaron Gallan got a point from play taken off late on. David Reedy came in after starting the last day, and I think he missed 1-3's worth of chances. He'll be disappointed. But at the back, they were fairly imperious. Yes, Brian Kincannon caused a lot of trouble in the first half, scoring 3 points from play, and he set up a few chances in the second half. Conor Whelan came out the field. He eventually got more and more into the game after for long periods just the ball was not going in, so it was very hard to get for him to get into the game, and he scored 3 points then by the end of the game. A couple of things just did not work for Galway. David Burke, didn't happen for him at all. Shane Cooney went wing back on Tom Morrissey in the first half, 3 points scored off him. He was eventually moved, didn't work out for him at all. Joseph Cooney, who was looking really good in previous matches, he was fairly cleaned out by Groat Hegarty in that first half for 4 points, and he was ultimately swapped. So Shane O'Neill had to kind of rearrange the deck chairs. But to be honest, that's probably doing a little bit of a disservice to Galway, because they did quite a bit right, in the sense that they kept in a game where, it's only a week ago that they were playing against Tipperary, and obviously they had the Leinster final defeat just before that as well, to turn around and come out again. Didn't bother Waterford, but there's a bit more miles on the clock with some of these Galway players, and the half back line never got going at all. I thought Sean Loftus, he did very well. He'd struggled a bit on Peter Casey, most people do, especially when he's coming on fresh and you're a bit tired. Dahi Burke came out the field, he was on, I think, David Reedy for a while, and when he came out centre back, he really imposed himself on the game. Cathal Mannion, so in the heel of the hunt, Galway lost arguably the two most lethal forwards. Now, Joe Canning didn't impact the game from play, but it's his 3 unbelievable sidelines. He knocked over, actually 4 unbelievable sidelines. He knocked over his frees as well. That was crucial. Now, Nyland obviously came in and knocked over the next one. Fintan Burke got a lovely sideline late on. There can't be too many games where a team scores 5 sideline cuts out of 24 points, so that's quite an incredible thing. But yeah, like I said, the half back line didn't get into the... They weren't able to impose themselves on Limerick, and the way Limerick were moving the ball around, and in the first half, Groat Hegarty and Tom Morrissey had 7 points between them. Keane Lynch wasn't scoring at that point, but he was getting on the ball from centre forward and getting away from Groat McInerney. I mean, it looked a mismatch beforehand, in the sense that if the ball comes in on the front foot, Lynch is going to step away from anyone, especially someone who's 6'4". It's going to be tougher for a bigger man on someone who's as elusive as Lynch, and he was just popping the ball around left and right. And as the second half went on, he started snapping ball, he started getting his points, and he was good. I mean, I think Darragh Donovan's probably be a bit disappointed with his performance. Had a couple of poor whites in the first half, didn't get into the game that much. As the first half went on, I just felt that Limerick's half back line was taking over more and more, snapping ball. Dan Morrissey, all the talk is how would he get on at full back, and he's been brilliant. He was snapping ball here, but again, because Galway played with the sweeper, and after going in, after starting the game so well, going 7 points to 3 up, then Galway got a couple of points before the first water break. For a second, I thought Pádraig Mannion was moving back out to midfield, but then he quickly went back in again, and then there was that just rush of scores from 7 points to 3 ahead. Galway ended up 9 points to 8 behind very quickly in that period, up to around the 25th minute, and they were kind of holding on. And if you look at the stats at half time, it was 15 points to 13. 13 of the 15 came from play for Limerick, whereas for Galway it was 6 out of 13, and it was actually 3 of their 7 placed balls were sideline cuts. So when you give away a free, it means you probably tested a defender, and you were maybe going through, and you possibly would have got a score anyway. When you're knocking over sidelines, that didn't, in a lot of cases, that didn't actually come from a scoring attempt. A 65, often it's the case that did come from a scoring shot that might have been blocked or keeper saving something or whatever, but with a sideline. That just says to me that they're kind of running, just kind of in that case relying on Joe Canning to pull something out of nothing with those sideline cuts, which was just massive. But obviously the goalkeeping issues it really came home to roost for Galway here. It's tough on Éanna Murphy because he's been asked to do a high risk sort of a policy, looking for men in tight pockets. Now at times he missed ones where lads, they did have a bit of space, but it's a tough one. And when you play a sweeper, it means going long isn't the same option, especially against like Kyle Hayes, who was immense, and his power running is very tough. Declan Hannon actually taken off late on. Diarmuid Burns was really good again. If you're pucking long into them, and you have Will O'Donoghue coming back with a sledgehammer ready to take you down, and you've Darragh O'Donovan with his bulk, and you've Rod Hegarty and Tom Morrissey coming back, all looking to get into that mid-late battle, and you're hitting long, you're going to lose most of them. So Shane O'Neill understood that he needed to go with those high-risk puckouts, and unfortunately sometimes they don't work out. And when you're in your first year in a disjointed COVID year, it's very hard for him to get the team up to the level that he probably wants them at with those puckouts. But they were costly. One went out over the sideline after 15 minutes. There was that puck out that he went for a 1-2 with Sean Loftus, and then went to play it to possibly Pádraig Mannion. I think it was Seamus Flanagan. I'll have to check it again later on. He intercepted it and nearly ended up with a goal, and they got away with it. There was another puck out that went straight to Rod Hegarty for a point, and it just seemed that so many times as the game went on, Galway almost gifted scores to Limerick. And to be fair, there's an element of really athletic side. They've had a nice little break when you've probably been playing more games in the meantime, and they're just a younger, fitter, stronger team in year 4 versus a team with an element of transition. And we mightn't see some of these Galway players again, or if we do, they mightn't be the starters. But like towards the end of the game, you had Adrian Breen getting a point, so it was a short puck out to Aidan Hart. He got it blocked by Peter Casey, who came on and made a big impact, scoring 2 points and setting up a few scoring chances. So he ended up handing it to Adrian Breen. He knocked it over the bar. That put them 25 points to 23 ahead after they just conceded a point to Tom Morrissey, which put them ahead. And Morrissey was brilliant. Ended up with 6 overall, 1 with free towards the end. Then, after Fintan Burke had knocked over a sideline from a mile out, a puck out went straight. Adrian too, he missed a puck out that was hit to him short by Éanna Murphy around, we'll say 50 yards out. But he put the hand up for it when it was probably just a little bit too high and should have gone with the stick. I actually don't blame the goalkeeper there. If it's within the range of your stick, I think you need to be taking it down to yourself. And then that ended up with a Tom Morrissey score. And then at the very end again, Loftus had a simple ball hit to him by Aidan Hart. Probably an unsympathetic ball in some ways, but he should be controlling it. Ends up getting turned over by Rod Hegarty. Tom Morrissey knocks over the free. So, yeah, I think overall it was kind of a drab enough sort of a semi-final, which Limerick won't be too dissatisfied by. Like, they've been built as unstoppable favourites for a while now, and I think seeing this side, having to struggle through a contest like this after winning other games handily enough, and I mean those games against Clare and Tipperary, they've had a couple of good tests now against Waterford and against Galway, and people probably won't be building up to the same level. But another good win for Limerick. We'd talked during the week with Galway journalist David Connors, and he was talking about nagging doubts about Limerick at Croke Park. Whether this puts them to bed or not is another thing, but they are through. They're back into a final where they want to be. Definitely it was a sad sight seeing Joe Canning have to be taken off on a stretcher. He just won a turnover and looked like he was about to get himself into the play, but obviously it looked like his own teammate collided with him. The game stopped up for a while, sad to see, so hopefully he's okay. But I think Galway probably was just a little bit of a bridge too far. They're probably papering over the cracks a little bit. A few too many forwards who didn't really get into the game. Conor Cooney didn't get into it. Jason Flynn came on, didn't get into it. Cathal Mannion having to go off. Davy Burke didn't get into it. Pádraig Mannion as the sweeper didn't take over because Limerick used the ball so well, and Limerick threw, and deservedly so.